Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 49ers Golden Ticket. My name is Gabriel, and today we're going to dive into expectations for the 2021 49ers roster, as well as who we still have signed through 2022, which is going to actually potentially mold our draft strategy. So we'll dive into some positional values there that'll actually help us long term. And then, of course, we'll discuss a little bit more about what draft rumors are swirling around. Can't wait to get into it. All right, guys, let's dive into that 2021 roster. I am going to say that on a typical roster, you have 22 starters, 11 on defense and 11 on offense. But with the San Francisco 49ers, I almost consider us to have 23 starters because we are one of the few teams that employ a fullback. So we do need to have a starter there at fullback, but also a starting wide receiver 3 there for our slot wide receiver, which is a very, very popular position throughout the NFL. But as mentioned, only one of those starters can be on the field at a time, but both are still considered starters in my book. So as we look down at the 49ers roster here, we can see that starting wide receiver 1 is Deebo Samuel. He's a fantastic wide receiver for us. He's built like a running back, but he runs routes like a wide receiver. He catches like a wide receiver. But the issue with Deebo has been his injury concern. So our wide receiver 3, who in the past was Kendrick Bourne, as you can see here, we no longer have a defined wide receiver 3. Kendrick Bourne went on to sign a 3-year, $22 million contract in New England. Congratulations to him. But Kendrick Bourne is going to leave a huge void in our offense. He played a lot of snaps for us because we did suffer many injuries throughout the past few years. So that wide receiver 3 could be somebody that the 49ers target early in the draft to fill that void, to not only be able to step in when Deebo Samuel goes down, but to also fill that slot wide receiver role when everybody is healthy. Next to them, I have listed at left tackle Trent Williams, who's a mammoth of a left tackle, now the highest paid left tackle in the NFL, a future Hall of Famer. Left guard, we have Laken Tomlinson. He's actually a previous first-round pick from the Detroit Lions. He's filled in admirably at left guard. However, last season, I don't know if it was just due to lack of an off season because of COVID, he didn't put up quite a great year. There was a couple of times where you found him on his back, but Laken Tomlinson is still a solid left guard, and I look forward to seeing him rebound this season. At center, that was one of our biggest needs last season. We went down, I believe, to our third or fourth string center. It was supposed to be Weston Richburg, and then it was Ben Garland. Instead, it was Hronis Grasu, and then I think Daniel Brunskill had to step in. So it was just a mess of a position last season. Alex Mack should come in. He will solidify that position. And of course, he is the leader of that offensive line. He'll be a huge help to our quarterback. We're standing next to our center at right guard. I believe it's going to be Daniel Brunskill. However, other noticeable pieces that we could fit in there, and a lot of our linemen are versatile, so that is a plus on the 49ers, but we could technically fill in Justin Skule or even Colton McKivitz. Both of them did see some playing time last season due to injuries. At right tackle, where we have Mike McGlinchey, the previous first-round pick. I believe he went number 9 overall to us, which is crazy for a right tackle as there aren't many drafted right tackles who go top 10. So let's hope that the COVID season was just a fluke and he rebounds this season, adds some weight, and really becomes a dominant pass blocker. Our offensive line got 2 quarterbacks injured last season. McGlinchey, with that captain on his chest, needs to step up because his 5th-year option is going to be coming up. And let's see how he rebounds this year. Next to Mike McGlinchey, we have our standout tight end, George Kittle, the number 1 tight end in the NFL. Look at that wide receiver there, Brandon Ayuk. He is wide receiver 2 for the 49ers for now. I believe he's a future all-star. That guy, in my opinion, can straight up ball, and I look forward to his growth in his sophomore season. Now here we go to the quarterback position. We have Jimmy Garoppolo. He's the expected starter, although there has been some rumors circling the 49ers that they would trade him for a first-round pick. He's also been quiet this offseason, hasn't been throwing with teammates. He hasn't been in the media or social media for that matter, and so it's been a strange offseason for Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sure he's upset that the 49ers traded up to the number 3 overall pick to get a quarterback. We have our fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, I don't think I need to say much about him. He's the #1 paid fullback in the NFL. He's an absolute stud, great in the pass game, great in the run game, great. He can line up in the slot. He can line up out wide. He can line up as a running back. Kyle Juszczyk is the definition of a Swiss Army knife, and I'm very thankful to have him on our team. I look forward to Kyle Shanahan employing him more this season than he did last year. I believe Kyle Juszczyk only played 40% of the snaps, and considering he's the highest paid fullback in the NFL, those numbers need to improve, those percentages. So 40% just won't be enough, in my opinion, to justify his contract. So I look forward to seeing him used more this year. Behind Kyle Juszczyk there, we have a two-headed monster running back. I wrote them both down here. We have Raheem the Dream Mostert. We have Jeff Wilson Jr. They both haven't been able to stay healthy, and that's of course why they both have a prominent role in our offense, because when one goes down, the other can step up. They can also spell each other when one gets tired, so you don't overuse them and put their body and their injury at a higher risk. So that's a great two-headed monster. All right, guys, moving over to the defensive side of the ball here. We just have 11 starters, and every single one of them is filled in. I'll probably note a couple of depth pieces as well, but as you can see there, we have Jason Verrett, the starting cornerback 1. He absolutely balled out for us last season. We are so lucky to have Jason Verrett come back to us on a cheap one-year deal. I think it was only $6.5 million, when honestly he probably should have made $13+ million. So we'll see him get the bag next season. Hopefully the 49ers will be in a better salary cap situation to retain him, and then we can give him that contract extension and keep that side of the field locked down. Jason Verrett, thank you for coming back to the Niners on a cheaper deal. As you can see next to him, we have Jaquiski Tartt. He does not get labeled as a playmaker, but he is a very, very solid safety. The 49ers ask him to do so much more, so that's why you don't always see him being a playmaker. He does so much that it allows the other players to be playmakers, but when he has been given the opportunity, he does shine. Jaquiski Tartt also came back to the 49ers on a one-year deal, so we'll see what kind of contract he'll demand next season. Defensive end there, we got Nick Bosa. Thank goodness we're getting him back. His rookie season, of course, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He absolutely tore up the league. Everybody, every tackle in the NFL was put on notice. Next to him, Javon Kinlaw. He's got big shoes to fill. This year, the expectations for him are even higher. His rookie season was a bit disappointing, but overall the team was as well, so I can't just hold that against Javon Kinlaw. Next is Javon Kinlaw. You can have one of two players there. Zach Kerr is one and Arik Armstead being the other. Zach Kerr just came off of a career year in Carolina, and we actually picked him up on a cheap one-year deal. I'm curious to see how the 49ers decide to use him. And then, of course, the highest paid defensive lineman on the 49ers, Arik Armstead. He's going to be, I believe, our #2 defensive tackle. They'll probably rotate him from defensive end and defensive tackle, depending on how the offense lines up and what they want from him. But Arik Armstead can now become somewhat of a chess piece. Next to Arik Armstead, I have listed here Dee Ford. Now, the rumor is that he's ready to come back and dominate this year. He missed last season. It originally was a knee injury, but then later turned to a back problem. And his back is now hopefully healing, but it's something that is, of course, very finicky. You never know with a back, and so you have to be careful. And unless you feel absolutely 100%, you do not want to mess with back problems. You can risk paralyzation. But as of now, the expectations are that Dee Ford is healthy, he's practicing, and he's going to be back this year. And if that's the case, that's a huge boost to this 49ers defensive line. But if that's not the case, the 49ers went out this offseason and signed Samson Ebukam. And that kid, in my opinion, is going to be very electric on this defensive line. Hopefully he can grow into a full-time starter and really reach his full potential, because athletically, the kid is special. Next to him, we have K'Waun Williams. K'Waun is a bona fide slot corner, maybe the best slot corner in the NFL, and he also came back to the 49ers on a one-year deal. Many expected him to get the bag this offseason, but due to a COVID salary cap, people were just not able to spend money in free agency, and the 49ers, in a sense, got lucky to keep their Super Bowl window open, and this healthy roster is absolutely dominant. Next to him is our other cornerback, Emmanuel Moseley. He was groomed pretty much by Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman has been shouting his name from the rooftop for a couple of years now. I think the Niners finally saw what he was saying, and they're giving him a chance to be our starting corner opposite of Jason Verrett. And then, of course, All-Pro Fred Warner. They're at the linebacker position. There's no better linebacker in the NFL, period. No more discussion. The 49ers need to pay him because this is the last year of his contract. Next to All-Pro Fred is Dre Greenlaw, who some say might be even better than Fred Warner, but not as consistent. And then, of course, Jimmy Ward, left over from the Harbaugh era. He has been a consistent mainstay for this 49ers secondary, and I was thankful that we were able to get him back a couple of years ago. And maybe, just maybe under new defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, we'll see some of the more playmaking that made Jimmy Ward a first-round pick. But this defense is ready to come out and compete. They say defense wins championships. So I see no reason that this 2021 49ers roster couldn't win a championship. Now, looking ahead to the 2022 49ers roster, gets a little bit interesting. I'm sure when you take a look at it here in just a second, you're going to notice that we do have 8 blank spots here, and that is a little bit dangerous because 8 missing starters, although a couple of them might be able to get brought back, Mike McGlinchey being one, if we accept his 5th-year deal or we extend him. And then Fred Warner, of course, he's not on our salary for next season, so we need to extend him this offseason if we can, or let it play out through the season and give him the bag next offseason. We can't afford to let Fred Warner hit free agency, but as of now, he's not technically on the 2022 49ers roster. Therefore, that is a blank spot on the page. Now let's dive into it, guys. As you can see, it's the same layout. We have there Deebo Samuel is wide receiver 1. Next to him, we still have an undefined slot receiver. Definitely somebody I think the Niners might look for in the draft. Trent Williams, the future Hall of Famer, the silverback. Left guard is another blank. Laken Tomlinson's contract expires at the end of the 2021 year. And maybe we extend him, or maybe we look in the draft for more guards. Alex Mack signed a 3-year deal with the 49ers. Right guard position, we no longer have anybody. It is blank. I believe we're going to bring somebody in, or we re-sign Daniel Brunskill. Daniel Brunskill has been absolutely a mainstay for us. He's been so versatile all over the offensive line. I think that he's deserved a nice contract from the Niners. The right tackle, as mentioned, I do not know if the Niners plan to extend, pick up the 5th-year option, or let go of Mike McGlinchey. That's still yet to be determined, and we'll find out hopefully before the season starts. There at tight end, we still have the most amazing George Kittle, and then Brandon Ayuk. It'll be his 3rd year in the league, and that's typically when a wide receiver, quote unquote, breaks out. We have a cornerback 1 missing slot. Hopefully we're able to fill that with Jason Verrett. Was on a 1-year contract. If we do not extend him, we will be looking for cornerback 1, and that could come at a very heavy cost or a high draft pick. Strong safety, Jaquiski Tartt, as mentioned, only signed a 1-year contract, so that's empty. Nick Bosa, of course, is still there. Javon Kinlaw, still there. Eric Armstead, still there. Zach Kerr, however, will come off of the books. He only signed a 1-year deal with us. And then Dee Ford is still on the books that season. That'll be the final year of his contract. But also Samson Ebukam is still on the roster and signed through 2022. He'll be competing for that second DN spot there across from Nick Bosa. Slot cornerback, as mentioned, K'Waun Williams' contract comes off the books. He only signed a 1-year deal with us. Of course, Emmanuel Moseley, he signed a 2-year, $10 million deal with us, so he will be on the roster through 2022. And then Dre Greenlaw is coming back. I believe that's the last year of his rookie contract. So if we do not give Fred Warner the bag, which I would be surprised, Expect Dre Greenlaw to get it. There's no way we let both of those linebackers go. But as of right now, 2022, Dre Greenlaw is under contract and Fred Warner is not. And then Jimmy Ward, he's coming back for the final year of his deal in 2022. And let's see what he can do and lead our secondary, hopefully. So that leads me into the next point. Are the 49ers going to look to fill the 2022 roster with 2021 draft picks? So this season, are we going to be drafting for the future? In a sense, that's what we are planning to do with our quarterback, correct? Right? Jimmy Garoppolo, as of now, is supposed to be the starting quarterback for this team and all the veteran players on one-year deals. It almost feels as if they have a win now, 1 year window, and then everything else is built towards next season and going forward, which I'm actually not opposed to. 8 missing starters on that offense. On that 2022 team. But I do believe that we'll fill a lot of them through A, extensions like Fred Warner and Mike McGlinchey, and then B, in the draft. I believe that we need to find about 6 starters in the draft, which is very, very rare, especially considering one of those starters that's not even going to count towards those 6 is going to be our first pick in the first round, number 3 overall, which will be a quarterback. So we'll have to see how that works out, which quarterback we take, and then hopefully we hit on the rest of them. In fact, I can see the 49ers trading up a few times in the draft to get back into the day 2 picks, second and third rounds. See, due to the COVID season, there's actually a lot of talented players that didn't get to play last season because their college teams opted out due to COVID, and those players didn't get to show out. So there's a lot of gems in this draft. And in my opinion, it is smart for the San Francisco 49ers to trade up, right, and get some of those gems who fall into the second and third rounds, potentially even the fourth round if somebody who had a high trajectory got injured in the 2019 season and then was forced to sit out the 2020 season and is now eligible for the draft and not eligible to return back for another college season. Some of those players might really, really take a tumble in the draft, and the 49ers would be smart to capitalize on potential starters for our team, which kind of leads me into the subject of the starters that we're going to be looking for. In my opinion, I had written down 2 guards, 2 cornerbacks, a running back, a safety, and a wide receiver. Now, Jalen Hurd, if he comes out this year and surprises, we might not need a wide receiver, but I at least wanted to discuss with you guys a little bit about where some of these guys might go. Let's start with the cornerbacks, right? We're looking for 2 cornerbacks, and typically the cornerback position requires the most athletic person on the field. Cornerback is probably one of the toughest positions outside of quarterback to play, and they have to be smart, athletic, fluid, and you just don't find as many athletes later on in the draft. Freak athletes go early in the draft. People take chances on guys like that. And that's why typically you want to get your cornerbacks early in the draft, which historically the Niners have not done. They haven't drafted a cornerback above round 3 in quite a while. The last one I believe was Ahkello Witherspoon anyways, and then DJ Reed in the 5th round. So 49ers have not traditionally, at least with this regime, drafted corner, but they need to. And they need to get some elite talent. We have 2 missing corner slots next season, and those guys go quick in the draft. So if you're aiming for a corner, you're probably going to take that round 2 or trade back up into round 2 using later draft capital and take 2 corners. However, running back is also a need on this team, and if an elite player like Najee Harris falls, I don't know if the Niners can help themselves. Traditionally, though, starting running backs can be found later on in the draft, and mostly the 49ers backs are undrafted free agents, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and they seem to make our team. So the 49ers might not have to use nice draft capital to get a nice running back. Moving on to wide receivers and wide receiver 3, well, I guess that just depends on what you're looking for. If you want an elite athlete wide receiver, then yes, you're going to have to take him early. but it doesn't mean you can't get a twitchy guy, a quick, short area quickness guy. Trent Taylor, for example, before all of his injuries derailed his athleticism, he was very quick in and out of his breaks. Somebody Jimmy Garoppolo definitely trusted, but of course injuries I think have slowed him down. But who's to say you can't find another Trent Taylor somewhere around the 5th round? So that could be a later round target if you're just looking for a quick twitch, short area quickness guy to fill that number 3 slot. But again, we did sign Mohamed Sanu, so we'll see what happens there. And of course, we do need one for the 2022 roster. Some players are just so athletic and they're out of position. And I think that that's why safeties are a little bit easier to find, because it's nice to be able to find a great athlete who's just out of position. You move him to safety and boom, it clicks. So I think a safety can be had later. But yes, if you want an all-pro safety, you are going to have to get them early. Also, this gives all these players 1 year to develop, so they won't be walking in as starters in a rookie season. They walk in as starters in their sophomore season after a year of developing, sitting behind this stacked 2021 roster. Guards go in the mid rounds. Typically, you could see them in the 4th and 5th rounds. There's a lot of Pro Bowl guards in those rounds, and this year seems to be deep with guards because, as mentioned, there's no 2020 season for a lot of these players, and so their draft stock fell. I look forward to seeing who the 49ers target this year and what their draft strategy might be. All right, everybody. Now let's dive into some of those draft rumors and what they could mean for the 49ers. First, I want to start off and say that the 49ers had signed a quarterback this past week in Nate Sudfeld, somebody who backed up Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. I believe he did work with Rich Scangarella, who's the 49ers quarterback's coach, and that could potentially be why we brought him in. However, it's just very strange that they gave Nate Sudfeld a guaranteed $252,000. And I know on some NFL contracts that may not sound like a lot, especially at the quarterback position, but that is a lot of guaranteed money that almost guarantees that he's going to be on the roster for the entirety of the 2021 season. But what does that mean for the rest of the guys? Jimmy Garoppolo's under contract. Josh Rosen, he's a previous first-round pick who I think just now fell into the right system for him, and I hope to see him grow, but he's not guaranteed any money. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't guaranteed any money. And then Josh Johnson is the 3rd quarterback. He's not guaranteed any money. And then we're going to have a rookie quarterback. As it stands right now, the 49ers are trying to get a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, if they are successful, kudos to them, but I'm not sure Jimmy G is worth a first-round pick. But a couple of those day 2 picks in this draft could be very valuable. If this does happen, the 49ers, who's going to be the starting quarterback? Are they going to leave it to that rookie? I don't believe so. I believe they want the rookie to sit and learn for a season, and that could be why we gave Nate Sudfeld that guaranteed $252,000 contract. And then we do still have Josh Rosen on the roster. Rosen, of course, a previous top 10 pick himself. And I think that that kid has all the talent, and he was just dying for the right team and the right coach to challenge him. I think the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan are those things. Kyle Shanahan has kind of a track record of being one of the smartest guys in the room, and maybe that's exactly what Josh Rosen needs to challenge him, because it's been said that even Josh Rosen has those similar personality traits of being the smartest guy in the room. Well, I guarantee you he's not smarter than Kyle Shanahan, so I hope Shanahan is able to challenge Josh Rosen and get the most out of him, because Rosen's very accurate, very strong-armed passer, quick decisions, and I think he can be very successful if given a chance in this offense. Justin Fields had his second pro day. Kyle Shanahan was there, and it was all smiles all day. All you can see is just Justin Fields and Kyle Shanahan chatting it up, both of them laughing. Although there was no media allowed at the pro day, there were still some clips from Ohio State, and I believe some of the Athletic, but it was mostly a private workout. So the footage that was released, I'm sure was reviewed and approved by everyone first. So all those pictures and videos of Kyle Shanahan and Justin Fields laughing, I don't know. Could it be a smokescreen or could it be the real deal? Last Second Sports, they had the QB coach from Justin Fields and Trey Lance's quarterback coach. They had that guy on to talk about the two prospects. And to be honest, he wouldn't stop talking about Trey Lance, no matter the question. He ranted and raved about Trey Lance and some of the questions that had surrounded him. For example, his accuracy was due to he would dip because he would get up on his toes when he threw. So his eye level would change, and that caused his accuracy to slip. So that's something that they got to spend the past 5 months working on because Trey Lance didn't get to play the 2021 season because his team was opted out. So he didn't get to show off his skills and refine some of those things on the field, but he spent time with quarterback coaches to work out everything else. And I think that if Trey Lance got one more year to do that, he would be an absolute animal. QB coach Sean McAvoy said he's definitely one to keep an eye on, somebody with, he said, being the highest ceiling in this draft. But Justin Fields is, of course, still a fantastic option. Everything that you want a quarterback to be, Justin Fields has it. And of course, he can still improve. I know that you want to mention his quick release and say that that needs to get sped up. I believe he's spent the offseason working on that shoulder dip. Trevor Lawrence had it as well, but he also spent this offseason working on it. So let's see how much they've improved once training camp rolls around and whatever teams these guys end up on. But I definitely look forward to seeing who the quarterback for the 49ers is going to be. It was Mac Jones being the heavy favorite, but now it seems to be Justin Fields. And I only assume after Trey Lance's second pro day that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch will be attending, that the heavy favorite then will be Trey Lance. So if I'm a betting man, right now is the time to bet on Mac Jones and Trey Lance. And then next week, after Trey Lance's pro day, it might be time to put your money on Justin Fields just to hedge your bets. One of those guys are likely to hit, and hey, you might win something. Anyways, guys, thank you all for tuning into the 49ers Golden Ticket. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe if you can. It helps out the channel. Again, thank you all for your time. My name's Gabriel, and I'll see you guys next time.